Right, so Duncan, obviously you work in... Oh, there's a fucking motorbike going right past. God's sake. You know what? I'm just taken. I'm keeping it as it is. Duncan, you work in online retail, and so you know the value of a good and a bad review, don't you?
I do. I hate a bad review.
Do you have any like 1-star reviews that still like burn in your memory? Like I've got a 4-star review that burns in my memory where the guy said, I never give 5-star reviews. Yet in his review, he said everything was 100%.
I've got one, and I rang up the guy and had a shouting match with him because he gave me a 1-star review. Adrian from Swindon, you're a cunt.
So sorry, Adrian, if you're listening to this. So you know the value of a good review. And obviously, Shaun, you work in retail at the moment as well. I work in retail. So we all know the value of a good and a bad review. So I'm just going to quickly send a review for a local massage place in Paignton. I'm not going to say the name of it because I don't want it to get doxed. So if you just have a quick check through now on Discord, it should come through.
What's Alan said?
And I'm just going to wait for the madness to... Okay. So I'm just going to read this review.
What the hell? That went different pretty quick.
So I'm going to read this review. So, when looking for such a session, there weren't many options in the area. Despite this, I felt comfortable with after exchanging some emails. However, partway through the session, he attempted to penetrate me with no prior discussion whatsoever. His response to me not wanting this intrusive act was to become verbally abusive. 2 comments that stood out were, "Of course you want it," and "What do you expect coming to a session like this?" Now, I thought, there's no way that that's real. It can't be. And so I checked out a few other reviews. Here is another 1-star review. "This practitioner does not respect boundaries. He attempts to penetrate his clients without talking about it first. His spaces aren't great either, and the facilities are disgusting."
Why would you go to Google reviews instead of the police?
I know. Like, that's rape.
Do you know what it reminds me of, though? It reminds me of, he kissed me on my bottom.
Just above the cleftal horizon. So that was a review that I found for a massage place in our local area, and it just absolutely made me burst. So I thought, why not bring that up? Because I've been wanting to tell you guys, this is why I fucking hate this podcast. I've been wanting to tell all 3 of you about this ridiculous review for like a week now, and I've not been able to. And I found it Wednesday morning after we had just recorded. So I've been sat on this now for nearly 7 days.
Is this why you've been shaving yourself for a good old sesh?
Oh yeah, just to keep everyone updated.
It's all coming together now.
I am still shaving my legs. It's just a way of life now. I'm just going with that now. That is who I am. I'm just a dude that shaves his legs. Really manly though, because it's with a Gillette 4-blade, proper manly razor.
Need to get that Manscaped sponsor, that's what.
Yeah, maybe one day we will. This episode is not sponsored by Manscaped. It's sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. So, yeah, I just thought, you might appreciate that. That Duncan, Shaun, you're in retail. What would you do if you got a 1-star review that said you were trying to penetrate your customers?
I mean, there's not many opportunities for my customers to get buggered, really, in my line of work. Although I work in marketing, so maybe it's a promotional tool I could use, but I don't know.
Well, if that isn't just the best way to start a gaming podcast, I'm not sure what is. Welcome, everybody, to Season 3, Episode 5. So that makes it Episode 38. We are coming up to a year very soon, which is still bonkers to me. If you enjoy this podcast, or even if you don't, be sure to share this with your local Spartan. Follow us on Twitter. We are at GamersWatchCrew. 30% of people that watch us on YouTube aren't subscribed. So if you do watch the podcast on YouTube and you do enjoy the show, please do like the video, subscribe to our channel, and we would really love some comments on what you did like and what you didn't like, like ejaculating on children's faces. Maybe you didn't like that very much. We did get a 1 thumbs down this week, and I'm guessing it's about that, possibly. Also, be sure to tune in every Friday at 8 p.m. British Standard, 3 p.m. Eastern, or 12 p.m. Pacific for our live premieres of the shows where we are in the chat with people. We have a little pre-show for 15 minutes, and then everybody can react to me doing stupid and saying ridiculous things. And yeah, just tune in. We'll move straight on to the Xbox news brought to you by the Midweek Mixup Collective. Shaun, we've got some games coming to Game Pass in October. Do you want to go through them?
Yeah, I'll list them off and then go through the big one that was today. So in October, we've got Phoenix Point, and then, of course, Back for Blood for a day-and-date release, The Riftbreaker, The Good Life, and Age of Empires 4, which I believe is just for PC.
Also Cloud.
Oh, and Cloud. Oh, bloody hell, I'll be playing that then.
PC and Cloud.
That makes me happy. And then...
And what's the big one?
The big one is the universally acclaimed game, Marvel's Avengers, coming to Xbox Game Pass September 30th, which I believe is the day before this podcast.
Yes, it is, yeah.
I have bad memories of that game.
Yeah, I don't like Marvel. I don't like games as a service, and I don't like hack and slash games. So next week I will be reviewing Marvel Avengers.
I can't wait to hear what you got to say.
I don't want to play it.
Don't play it then.
Yeah, well, I don't want to play Halo yet. I want to wait until it's released before I have my first experience of it.
Put it this way, if I was to do an episode of Pass or Play on it, it'd be a pass. It'd be a big pass. The biggest pass you could possibly imagine.
Is that because you paid for it?
I just think it's such a bad game.
Oh,
there we go.
I think even if I played
enough.
this free, I wouldn't have enjoyed it.
There's your video.
Yeah, there we go.
And that's coming from someone that's a Marvel fan.
Welcome to this week's Pass or Play. We're going to play Avengers. Pass. Yeah, I mean, I want to play it just for my sheer sort of curiosity more than anything.
Yeah, I just want to brainless beat him up, really.
All three of you is planning on playing it for Game Pass or Play.
I'm hoping to squeeze some time in it. I was going to say I'm basically like Harry, where I'm more curious at how bad it is than looking forward to playing it, sort of thing. Because I again do not really care for Marvel mostly.
It's basically, for me, it's like the film The Room. No one likes that film.
Oh,
Yeah, but
I did not
come
hit
on.
her.
That's a bad film, but it's watchable because it's bad. And Marvel's Avengers is a bad game.
Lisa.
Hi, Mark. But yeah, you can't compare that with The Room. The Room is watchable because it's so bad. Marvel's Avengers isn't playable. It's just terrible.
I'm just
Fair
glad
enough.
I get to put Tommy Wiseau faces on the screen now.
Just lots of them. Oh, hi, Mark. I did not. How's your sex life?
Good doggy.
So, Shaun, we've had some other news that's come out today from Microsoft in relation to Xbox. What have we heard reference Dolby Vision?
They have implemented Dolby Vision now for Xbox Series S and X, which is absolutely great if you have a TV that supports Dolby Vision, which mine I don't believe does.
No, me neither.
Oh, mine does. Sweet.
Oh, brilliant. Cheers, mate.
We're testing that out later.
I think mine's the other one, because in the two different like HDR sort of things, it's like Dolby Vision. There's another one.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure mine's the other one.
HDR10. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've got HDR10 on mine.
Yeah.
And there's also something else that I've seen today, and it's made me not want to ever pick my Switch up ever again. The new Xbox Edge browser update now fully supports emulation up to N64 and PS1 and some PS2 titles. It can't load ROMs onto it, but it can play JavaScript emulations. Duncan, we were literally talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
Nintendo have got backwards compatibility now with N64. Are you going to be updating your online subscription with Nintendo?
No.
I was going to say, I feel like there needs to be an asterisk next to that bit because it's at a cost.
Yeah, it's an added subscription to. Yeah, it's not just like a free upgrade. It's part of the very cheap Nintendo Switch Online, but it's an added cost on top of that.
Fuck off.
And you only get like 5 or 6 games. You don't get like a big smorgasbord of titles. It's only like Ocarina of Time. I can't fucking remember any of the other ones. Banjo-Kazooie.
I saw Mario 64 was on there, but haven't they just sold a limited edition run of Mario 64 in 3D All-Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah, they stopped. They pulled from sale at the end of March to try and get the FOMO sales out of it.
Makes sense why they did that now, though.
Yeah, because obviously no one would pay for the extra subscription. Fuckers. So yeah, that's quite good. If you want to update your Nintendo Switch Online, don't. Just play emulators through your Xbox Edge. There we go. Has there been any other like big things that have happened within Xbox over the last week at all, guys? Like Twitter-breakingly big?
Nothing that jumps to mind instantly.
Someone's got a big ringer, something like that. I don't know. Big hole.
Connor,
Halo?
what have you been playing over the last few days?
Hello.
I've been playing the Halo Infinite tech test, which finished yesterday.
How was it?
Very good. Very, very good.
Should we just jump into it?
Yeah, might as well.
Talk Halo. Go for it, Connor.
This flight from the last one was much smoother, I must admit. A few of the things in the game I had issues with, and a few of the things I really enjoyed. But let's start with the things I enjoyed.
Oh, shit. Also, yeah, guys, Connor is joining us today, the General C.
We haven't introduced anyone in the past 2 episodes, by the way.
Yeah, I'm Harry. Hello. Shaun, say hello.
Hey.
Duncan.
All right.
And Connor.
G'day, mate.
The General C. So, yeah, fucking hell. Christ, 15 minutes in. Connor, tell us about Halo.
The things I liked, well, one of the things I liked mostly was the training. It was one of my favourite things about the tech test. And I can see this being a big thing and a great way for new players to get into the game and returning players alike to warm up with the training before going into the PvP side of multiplayer. And I can also see this being a great place for anyone that wants to get into esports to start training. You can go through the different difficulty settings for the bots, like the Recruits, Marines, ODST, and Spartans. I myself noticed significant improvements training against the bots for 30 minutes before each of the PvP sessions went up. And I must really praise that. It's going to be great to see what people do, see how people learn Halo. It's going to be a good thing for new players.
I've been yo-yoing so much on Halo. So it went from being my most anticipated game to then constant news coming out, and it was just nothing but negative. And obviously we've spoken about it in the past. Myself and Duncan, we really don't like the way that the progression works and the experience works with daily challenges. But just watching the gameplay footage over the last weekend, oh man, I really, really like the look of Halo.
I would say it's the most
so good.
It's the most Halo has been for a long time. The thing about the progression is something I don't like, and I hope they do change it shortly after launch once people have had time with it and aired their grievances.
What sort of examples of the challenges were there that they had in the Flighting?
To be honest, I didn't pay attention to much of them because I didn't care for it.
I had a little look, and it was the things that we were worried about, like get 5 kills with this weapon.
Yes,
but you don't start with that weapon, so you've got to pick it up from somewhere. So then, I think we were chatting about it the other day, Connor, about the progression.
Yeah,
and it's like the thing that will really drive me away from it is if I have a really shitty game in Battlefield or whatever, at least I'll get some kind of XP towards for the next thing. If I'm not getting anything in Halo, even if I've had fun, it's a bit of a waste of time. So then it will just put me off going back. But saying that, the way the guns felt, because I went straight into training like you did, and they felt so good. Like I went through, there's like a little shooting range, and you can pick all the guns and try them out to so you're not chucked in the deep end. And every gun felt so good. I was absolutely blown away on the feel of it.
That shooting range alone is going to make people way more accurate at the game.
Yeah.
It might take others longer to get used to it, but people will get really proficient with those weapons, having those specific places in a section of the game where they can actually practice instead of just jumping in to a normal PvP multiplayer and dying loads of time. That really messes practicing up.
Yeah, and it really put made a really good point because it'll put new players off. So if you have to go straight into it and you get battered, so I'm not going to do it again. It's like with like Splitgate, the first 10 levels you're against bots, so you've got enough time to learn how to play it, get the hang of it before you're chucked in with real players. At least with this, you get a good opportunity to learn everything.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm worried about is that I think already my skill level isn't going to be high enough anymore to keep up with some of the shit people are doing. Like I'm seeing people swing around arenas with the fucking grappling hook, and I mean it looks amazing. But I think maybe for me it might just be slightly. I might be too old for it. Too old and slow.
There is one thing I'm hoping that they do have, or at least do bring to the game, and that's skill-based matchmaking, because that could benefit a lot of people that are new to the game to at least play with people around their skill set.
I would have thought they would have skill-based, even if it's like its own mode sort of thing, and there's like a non-skill-based one. I imagine they'll have something in there.
Well, I think it's Big Team Battle this weekend coming up. And I think I'll probably fare better in bigger arenas where, I've got a bit more space to breathe rather than one-on-ones, because I'll lose everyone.
But yeah, that might be a good way to announce this thing that was announced today. Everyone that is on Xbox can download the Xbox Insider Hub and download the Infinite Tech Test for the weekend. Everyone is in.
Nudge, nudge, Harry.
Yeah, I really have no excuse, do I? I do. I'm going to be playing Avengers, guys.
Good shout.
Avengers Assemble.
Let's quickly cycle back round to that progression, because that, I feel, is going to be a bit of an off-put for casual players, especially casual players that can't get used to the power weapons. And there's a certain few power weapons in the game that are tricky to get used to.
Yeah, I mean, straight away, I don't want to play Halo purely because of these progressions, which is really frustrating, because I look at these dudes swinging around like fucking Spider-Man, zapping each other, flinging each other from warthogs, and instantly I just think that's great and all, but I do not have time to keep playing constantly every day to get to that point. I think it's such a big turn off for me.
It's also going to be a bit of a turn off for skilled players as well, I imagine, because imagine having like the game of your life, just absolutely slaying everyone, and then you don't get any XP because you didn't do it with the weapons that you have been assigned to.
Yeah, you didn't stab 17 people in the head.
And I know there's things that can reset those challenges, but what happens if you reset the challenge and you get another challenge that isn't to your liking?
Cough up, get that wallet open.
They really need to add matchmaking XP. You finish a game, you win that game, you get bonus XP. You lose that game, you get your standard amount of XP.
I just think what they should do is they should leave it exactly the same as it's been in every single fucking Halo ever online, and have XP be directly correlated to how good you are in that specific game that you play. Like, that's how it should work. Because really, funnily enough, I'm playing Splitgate at the moment, and I've been playing it like Paul and Zoe and that lot.
You said you'd never play that.
Guess what? The progression is tied in to how good you are at the game.
Yep.
How fucking weird is that? And even though it does have daily challenges, they're not overbearing, and they're not the only way to progress.
See, I don't think it probably won't change. I will say that. It probably won't change from now until the game's launched.
Oh, no, it won't change. It will not change.
After the game launches and people have had more time with it and they're not leveling up as frequently as they would like to, we may see people complain about it, and hopefully then people will cause this to be changed.
It shouldn't take that, though.
I'd say if you're getting your hopes up that the progression and challenges will be overhauled before the first battle pass, then you're going to be in for a shock. I think the first battle pass will reflect how it's been with the Flighting, but again, with the feedback, if either not enough people buy it because they're put off by the progression, or if enough people complain, then it could change for future seasons.
Yep, and they've already had to cut things from the game already, so...
But I think the main thing that everyone listening wants to know, and I'll put my fanboy dick goggles on for this one, have they improved the fruit physics?
I didn't shoot the fruit myself, but I did see things on Twitter that showed the improvements to the fruit.
Fruits now explode.
There was one amazing thing I saw, that someone was shooting a ghost, I think it was, or the little motorbike thingamabob the purple thing. Is it a ghost? I'm sure it is. And someone was shooting it, and the paintwork was stripping away until you saw like the chassis underneath. And it just like, amazing little touches like that.
That moves me on really well onto exactly what I wanted to talk about, which was, fuck me, does this game look good?
It does. It does look good. There's a lot of people saying it looks like a 360 game, and
they can
open your eyes. Open your eyes. That's what I'll say.
Even on the original Xbox One, it looks pretty nifty. It's amazing what they've done.
That's a big surprise that this game looks as good as it does on a 2013 Xbox One.
Yes.
I really hope that they just have a low-res Craig just knocking about.
I want to see that as an Easter egg. Just a really low-res PS1 looking brute, just to rub it in people's faces for the laugh.
As I say, he'll be in the campaign somewhere, Craig.
He has to be.
Didn't they say he's got a beard now or something?
I think so, yeah. He's had a bit of a glow up. But I just can't believe how good this looked. And people were taking screenshots that just looked phenomenal. And I'll be the first to say it, when they showed the initial screenshots of the game a year ago, it looked like ass. It did not look good. And so whatever they've been doing, obviously it is their own engine that they're using. It looks so good. Some of the shots looked photorealistic. The shaders looked phenomenal. The lighting looked outstanding. The texture mapping looked out of this world. I saw one screenshot. I think it was Dustin. Is it Destin? I think it was Destin. And he had a needler on screen. And you could zoom into the needles, the individual needles, and they had like little sparks running through them. And the actual gun itself had like a fully rendered texture all over the weapon, that every single spot and every divot in there was reacting differently to the light that was being shown. And oh my God, did it look good. It just looked so good.
It does. I did have a few issues with the tech test.
Go on then.
I thought there was a time to kill issue, but after a while I noticed it wasn't the time to kill issue. It was actually a hitbox issue I was having. It seemed like some of the bullets weren't registering, but this will likely be fixed before the game comes out. So
that is something I've seen. I've also seen that apparently some people are saying that the assault rifle was massively overpowered at short distance as well.
Yes. Often I found myself not even bothering to pick any other weapons up. I just stuck with my assault rifle because I could dominate with it.
Yeah. At close combat, it was just like unreal, and it was really unbalanced, is what a lot of people said.
That brings me on to my next thing. And I did notice quite a lot of like the power weapons seemed very underpowered. Like, for instance, the new heatwave weapon, it wasn't as good as I was expecting. Like, they seem very underpowered when going up against just a basic assault rifle. And the same with the new shotgun. I think it's called the Bulldog. That shotgun takes like 2 to 3 shots at close range to kill someone. The original shotgun from all the other Halo games would down someone in one shot.
Yeah.
So that really needs a buff.
It's a lot of what I've seen is that some weapons are just massively overpowered and some weapons are just completely underpowered.
That's what they do with tests.
Yeah, that's exactly what they do with these tests. So yeah, it's a good thing. So as long as people are speaking their mind about these certain power weapons that are underpowered, they should hopefully be buffed by the time the game comes out.
I can't think of a single first-person shooter that hasn't had like loads of weapon changes over its lifetime.
Oh, Christ, Overwatch is non-stop.
Yeah, you hear about it with Warzone every other week, the latest weapon. So
it's all about that ever-changing meta.
As long as they can get closer to balancing the weapons before launch and they're a little bit more better than they are from the tech test, that's all that matters.
How was the grapple hook?
Really good. I like the grapple. And there was another one that they put in this tech test. I can't remember what that thing's called.
The repulsor?
The repulsor. I love using that. So being able to push people off the map or push people back. It was such a great time. And you could actually boost yourself up and do a sort of like super jump with that thing.
I saw a clip of some guy just send a warthog with 4 guys in it, just flying over the edge, and I couldn't do anything about it with the repulsor. That seems mega overpowered. That does seem like a joke, but
that seems like the perfect weapon. For like area control for capture the flag and that.
I actually saw a clip of someone use the repulsor to push someone back, but that person had the grapple shot and pulled himself back into the person and he stopped himself from falling off the map. And that was such a cool thing to see.
I think my favourite clip that I saw, and I like the fact that we're now just talking about like our favourite things that we've saw, because every time we've spoken about Halo, it's always been like, I don't like this, I don't like that. But I've seen some things on Twitter that looked so good. And my favourite one is when the guy was in the Ghost and he saw the guy around the corner. So he faced him. He then got hijacked, but he started running his Ghost off of the map. And he then turned around and grapple hooked the map and then flung himself back on.
Yeah, I think that was, I can't remember his name, but he's quite a big Halo streamer. Uber Nick.
It was. It looked so good. Like everything that I've seen coming out of it, it just looks fun. I do want to give a quick shout out though. I've blocked him now because the guy's a fool. The bloke who said, "This is what you guys look like taking pictures of textures," and he pointed his fingers like a finger gun at loads of like walls and stuff, but didn't realise that he had been doing the exact same thing in every single game that he's been playing for the last 2 years. And it wasn't even a month
before he did that.
No. So I'd like to give a shout out to that fucking idiot, because that was another one to the block list.
Just while we're talking about Twitter cunts, I've taken to if anyone who joins a Twitter Spaces about people arguing between PlayStation and Xbox, just get a fucking life. Go and hug your mum or something. You fucking quilts. Get a fucking life.
Did you just call him a quilt?
Yeah, quilt. A pissy quilt.
Yeah, there's one specifically. He's a 60-year-old idiot. Let's call him Coctimus Chode. He's a big dickhead. He doesn't know how to shut up. All he does is talk negativity about Xbox. But he's got a PlayStation. Go play your goddamn games. Deathloop came out. Go and play that. But there's also, have you seen that cringy ass video he did of him playing with controllers and like the PS5 controller he uses to beat the Xbox controller? It's like the most cringy thing in my life.
Fucking hell.
This is a 60-year-old man.
It's really, really sad. So I've started actively blocking people that set up these stupid goddamn Twitter Spaces. I saw one the other day. It went on for 7 hours.
7 hours.
7 hours of these idiots talking about PlayStation. They're like, at one point I ducked in and they were talking about how to fill in your taxes. And then I like joined the chat just as a laugh and they accepted me in and they were like, "Oh, hey, Gamers Watch Podcast, what do you want to say?" And I just turned around and said, "You all need a new hobby. You sound like fucking idiots." And just closed down my stream. Complete morons. They were talking about filling in their taxes and how that proves that Microsoft are lying about their figures. Oh, fucking idiots.
Oh my God.
So
They've got
Halo's
nothing
good
better to do. They'd rather play Twitter than play video games.
And video games are fun. So Halo was good then.
Yes, I loved it.
Well, there we go. And obviously when this podcast comes out, it will be the next weekend for people to jump in and play it. We will be having another guest on next week and we'll remember to introduce them that time. We're hoping to get Wandering Dutch in on the podcast again, which will be awesome. So should we move on? Because we've got Duncan here, so we all know what that means.
But quick reminder, if you're on Xbox, go and download the Halo Infinite Tech Test through the Xbox Insider Hub app.
Oh, so much effort to do that. So much effort.
Or watch this episode first, please, and then play Halo for the weekend.
Yeah, then do it, because Halo coming out last week absolutely demolished our viewer figures. We
are into triple digits again now, though. So
we are, yeah. Thanks to a certain VPN service that I use. No, I'm only joking. So, with Duncan being here, Duncan, have you been playing another game this week?
I have, Harry.
Okay. Shall I put on my worst radio voice and introduce?
I'm not doing it unless I get the intro.
Okay. So
it's gone to his head.
Don't get out of bed for less.
This week, Duncan Voice has been playing the fantastic little game Golf Club Wasteland for Duncan Voice's Indie Choices.
I was trying to do a really long yeah. Ruined it.
So you've been playing Golf Club Wasteland?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I have, Harry. Thanks. You did great, mate. Hey, guys, do any of you like golf?
No.
Not really. I hate golf.
Hey, what about crazy golf? Yeah, great, mate.
That's a little bit too crazy for me, Duncan.
Ooh, what about crazy golf in a post-apocalyptic Earth, great mates, hey? How does that tickle your fancy, guys? Yeah?
It sounds alright, I guess.
Well,
Yeah. Passes the time in an apocalypse.
so I've been playing Golf Club Wasteland, and it's one of my games of the year.
Whoa.
End of review. So I...
Up to the elbow. Up to the elbow.
Synchronized whoa.
I mean, I don't like golf. I don't mind going down a driving range every now and then, but other than that, it's a boring sport. Like cricket, Harry.
Shut up.
I agree.
And that is the end of this podcast.
Nice and able. So Golf Club Wasteland is developed by Demagogue Studios, and it's a very simple little puzzle crazy golf game, and it's set on a post-apocalyptic Earth, and you control a little spaceman named Charlie, who returns to Earth and basically knocks around the ruins, playing golf. And it's really simple. I mean, I think it is a mobile game, probably an iPad as well. But it's how you'd expect. So you control the power of your swing and press A, and that is it. And as you get through the game, as you sink a hole, depending on how well you did, you unlock diary entries. So you kind of start to unravel like what happens and a bit more of the backstory behind Charlie. And as you get towards the end of the levels, it gets a little bit like that Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. I don't know if anyone remembers that super streamer game a couple of years ago where it's that guy he was in a fucking boiling pot and he had to climb up with a hammer.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I remember that being a big craze.
Yeah, so as you get towards the end of the game, you have instances where you might hit a shot and you'll miss the hole and your ball will bounce right back down to the bottom, and then you've got to go up again, and all your character does is that little when he's just missed a shot.
Can't make those sounds on the toilet sometimes.
But the reason why it's so amazing is there is a radio station that plays over the top of it, and I think it's called like Nostalgia Radio Mars, and it basically it fills in the stories of what happened to Earth, and there's lots of people who are really nostalgic for their time back on Earth. And then it kind of fills you into this is what's happening. So you basically everyone lives on Mars now, and there's like a totalitarian system, and everyone has to. I think there's an announcement where people can only have 27 seconds of a shower a day because they're running out of recycled piss, things like that. And you're playing it, and you think, well, this is quite funny. But much like how we discussed about the Artful Escape and how gameplay like super light, but the experience because of the soundtrack was just completely transformative. Like it removed it from a game to an experience for me, and it's the same for this. The music is unbelievable. I don't think you have to complete the game to download it, but you'll get like really haunting like classical music that someone might have sung, but they're all like tales about life back on Earth. It's like a really funny little juxtaposition. So you might be knocking about like an old shopping centre that's crumbled to pieces, really gentle game of golf, but you've got like this banging repetitive dance track that's going over the top of it. It's really hard to do it justice, but as I was playing it, it's becoming like really, really poignant. And I put a tweet out maybe a week ago or so, where I said I feel really sad and anxious about what's happening in Britain. So anyone who's not from Britain who's listening, it's a bit of a shit at the minute. Like at the minute, we've got loads of selfish cunts taking all the petrol, so no one else can have it.
We've got petrol shortages, food shortages. We've got no drivers to make deliveries. We've got the army having to come in to support drivers. It's an absolute shit show, basically.
I don't know how you guys feel, and what I'm saying is relevant, but as each day goes along, I get more and more panicked about the situation, and more sad about how the rich are looked after. and people like us, just working guys, are kind of having to pay more just to help out the rich fucks.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention that, because there's a song that comes up that someone sings. One of the first lines is "Stop." What the fuck's it called? Stop panic buying petrol. Stop panic buying food. Stop panic buying toilet roll. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, fucking hell! It just like brought me right back down to earth. Kind of, excuse the pun. That I'm thinking, well, fuck me. Like, I guess this could happen. That humanity will fuck up the world, and we'll have to bugger off somewhere. Obviously, thousands of years in the future. But when you kind of see what is going on, like people are fighting over petrol. It's like, well, what the fuck is going on? We
got security marshalled to a petrol pump to fill up,
and
we had to prove that we were low on fuel before they would let us.
Well, we had to shut our petrol station down at the store down the road.
Yes, it's unbelievable. And then as you're going through, there's a big Brexit sign. I don't think the guys who made it are British, but that should tell you how much of a fuck up Brexit is, that the whole world is laughing at us about it.
Yeah.
But there's a big Brexit sign. It said like Brexit land. And then I moved the camera up to look at it because I was like, oh, does that say Brexit land? And then an achievement popped up and it said, welcome to the apocalypse or something like that. And I was like, oh God. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, yeah, like this is really shit. I'm not really selling the game at all. Trust me, like as I'm playing it, I'm getting the opposite feelings I did with The Artful Escape. So whereas that it was just full of joy and colour and excitement, this is like, oh my God, like we really need to fucking look after the planet because it's all going to shit really quickly. Then as you get towards the end of the game, it's not really a spoiler, but you see plants start to kind of take back, and you see like really beautiful animals start knocking about the scenery, and it really reminded me during the first lockdown. Me and Georgia drove up the A38, and there's loads of flowers that were growing in there I hadn't fucking seen in there before. And you hear about pollution over India and China just stopped, and the waters in Venice kind of ran completely clear. And it was so fucking poignant, and it just grounded me completely. I was like, oh my God, this game is amazing, purely because of like the soundtrack and how it frames the world. And then when you complete it, you get a 54-page comic that fills you in the backstory of the guy Charlie. I won't spoil it, but it's last Saturday morning. Like George was still in bed about 8:30 in the morning, watching this thing, and I cried as I was watching it because I was so like taken back by the message of the game. And there's like a really, really like heartbreaking part of the story. And it's like, well, fuck me, it probably could happen. So yeah, even though on the face of it, it's like a really simple game of crazy golf. And some people will look at it as just that. I guess probably because I'm older and I'm much more focused on kind of politics, and I try to do my recycling and things like that. It's like a really, really, I think it's supposed to be like quite satirical commentary of the state of the world, but it's really, really fucking harrowing.
For a golf game.
Just for a golf game. It's so, I wish I could fucking send everyone a copy to play it. It's an incredible game. I'd probably put it up there. I don't want to kind of say it's my game of the year because Psychonauts 2 was just perfect. But in terms of an experience, it's one of the absolute best things I've ever played. That kind of had me sitting there after I finished with it, just almost like winded. So I was like, it just. I mean, I like games as a commentary, anyways. I think because games are so important, they're a really good vehicle to tell an important story. But yeah, this one. It hit home for me what the fuck is going on more than anything else has done. Any of the propaganda that you get with any fucking media outlet that you read, any messages on Facebook and posts on Twitter, just completely grounded me, and I was stunned by the end of it. So I watched the final little comic book thing. I cried, I got angry, and I just sat down and sat there in silence for 5 minutes, just thinking about it. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
How hard do you fist it?
I'd step right in. But being very, very serious, yes, it would go up to the elbow, stick my feet in, whatever. but
High dive into it.
Yeah, but I'd like to bring it around to the fact that I think it's a very, very important game, and I kind of think it goes a little bit beyond dick butthole.
Okay,
ratings.
so I think that this might be the game then that retires.
I think it might be.
Oh, it took me fucking ages to make that graphic.
Yeah, I know. So what we'll do is we'll replace it with just a picture of Duncan's face with a big thumbs up next to it. Just like, yeah, I like it.
I'll record you a little clip to play. I've got a set of golf clubs in the garage. Let's go down the park.
We'll change it to the how many sets of behind lips would you give it?
Yeah.
Connor, this isn't a joke, man.
Well, for one poignant game with Duncan voices, indie choices, I wanted to move on to Game Pass or Play because me and Shaun have both played some really heartfelt, poignant games. I've played Sable, which is a sort of coming-of-age story following a young girl as she adventures into this sort of dystopian open world and finds out sort of who she is and who the people around her are. And it's got this mysticism about the area, and everything is sort of whimsical and over the top. Shaun, what have you been playing?
I've been playing the beautiful game FIFA 22.
Cool. So I'm going to start very quickly with Sable. I am quite torn on this. I've played it for about 7 or 8 hours, and I like it, but there's a lot wrong with it. So graphically, it looks stunning. I know that it's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but looking at how the game looks, it's phenomenal. The cell shading looks great. The character models are brilliant. Sort of like in Enter the Spider-Verse, where Miles Morales... Is it Miles? No, it's not Miles, is it? It is Miles Morales, yeah. In Enter the Spider-Verse, when he's moving, and he's got that little jutter about him, hasn't he? That he's not quite the same frame rate as everybody else. Mm-hmm. All of the characters in this game have this sort of cartoon movement about them, which is spot on. It looks really good, and it completely goes with the aesthetic of the game that they're setting. The soundtrack, there sort of isn't one. It's just very ethereal noises in the background of where you're exploring. The story that it's telling is really quite powerful. So you are this young girl who is just set free on her own into this world, and it just says, right, go and explore it and find out what this world is all about. And that's where my issues lie. I'm not going to go too in depth on this, but my issue is that it doesn't point you in any directions. So it tells you, go to this burnt oak station, go and talk to some people, and fuck it. Then just literally aimlessly wander around this world looking for any sign of life whatsoever. And when you find it, talk to the person and just see where it goes. So there doesn't feel like there's a direction to it, which they've done on purpose.
I think that would tear me up as well with choosing if I liked it or not, because I think some games like that can not execute it very well.
It's a decision that they've made purposely, and they do it well. But my issue is that nothing that you do in the game feels like it has any purpose. But the whole game is about this girl finding her place in the world. So you just end up aimlessly walking around this empty desert world, hoping to just stumble into somebody who will then give you a very basic quest that you need to do. So it might be to pick up scrap metal, it might be to find some beetles, or it might be to go to a certain place and unjam a wind turbine. And the most telling thing about this game is that only 15% of the people that have played it have got the achievement that you get within 20 minutes of playing the game to modify your bike, which is the first quest. So not even 20% of the people playing the game have even finished the first quest because there is no direction. And I like that because it meant that I could just put some headphones on and listen to some music or listen to a podcast and just chill out and just explore this world. But on the other hand, it means that a lot of people haven't been able to sort of do much of anything. I would give it a play, but on the caveat that there really isn't much to do. And so it is very much a game of just go into this world and explore it and hope you find something. Yeah. So I liked it, but there are some big issues with it. Shaun, how have you been finding FIFA?
So I'll, few side
How
notes.
do you go into FIFA from that?
It's only like career mode and the sort of base gameplay that I've been trying out because I do not give a shit